just want to briefly comment about the previous questioner. Once again, going with the woke media story and not bothering to mention the success of the strikes which restored freedom of navigation, protected shipping lanes, kept Americans safe. Nor did he bother to mention that the encrypted service that was being used was one recommended by the previous administration, by DHS guidance. But my questions with regard to this topic is for both of you, and you can just this is the context. So do we have the technology to discover that there is UAVs in the neighborhood of our bases?
Yes, Congressman, we do.
Okay, and can we track? If the UAV is there, can we track it? We have the technology to track it.
Yes, Congressman.
Okay, and then you could interdict it if you chose to at every base.
We have different options for interdiction, Congressman, across a spectrum for the commander to use their best judgment.
But you could interdict if you chose, if you so chose, and you have authorities under 130I, perhaps, depending on the command chain there, right? I mean, you could make that point, right?
Depending upon the installation, whether it's a covered installation, Congressman, you would have the 130I additional authorities. But as the Admiral has said, there's always the ability to respond if there's hostile intent for that base commander.
But you have to determine hostile intent, and that's the problem, right? Admiral Spadaro, could you explain how unauthorized drone activity, even when it's caused by recreational or commercial users, diverts critical security resources away from responding to legitimate national security threats, please?
Yes, Congressman, thank you for your question. If we go back to New Jersey and you know, that activity, once the FAA put the temporary flight restrictions in place, and there was, you know, very broad and comprehensive coverage of that by the media. Many of you spoke about it. Many of the members of Congress talked about the anxiety that was building in the community due to the high level of sightings. Once that word got out, that public messaging about responsible drone use, once the word got out about the flight restrictions, we saw a rapid decline in the number of sightings. The drone activity essentially went away. And we don't want it to get to the point where we have to do that every time. If we can message to the public that responsible commercial and recreational application of your drone is an imperative to prevent diverting our attention and our resources, both from investment, training, and response, we're going to be better at defending the homeland. But if we have to continually be aware of negligent drones flying into our base, it is going to divert attention. That's not to say that we don't need to address this threat, because as was brought up by this committee, and we agree with, our adversary has demonstrated that they will use this type of activity for unauthorized surveillance, for espionage.
Yeah, and let's add to that for a second, and that is the coupling of AI, which is moving rapidly forward and providing autonomous navigation, obstacle avoidance, deep learning, computer vision, easier to become weaponized, real-time image recognition, target identification. So I would like briefly, if you could, either one of you want to talk about the threat of AI going to, coupled with drone technology, to become an increasing, actually exponentially increased threat to our national security.
Congressman, it's a great question. Thank you for that. On the policy side, we need to make sure that our regulations internally at the DoD are streamlined to the extent that we stay at pace with the threat that we face outside the fence line of our installations. We need to make sure that we are giving the commanders on the ground clarity on what they have for authority and providing them the capabilities to counter those threats. Now, I think the Admiral can speak better as far as what is actually being developed at this time and how far ahead we are in counter-UAS technologies. But as far as the policy purview is concerned, I know from the Secretary of Defense front office down, we need to give the warfighter every capability they need to keep our service members safe.
I know that I'm not going to have time to hear your answer, Admiral, sorry, but with regard to the policy, I would ask that you work with the chairman of the subcommittee on policies that need to be rewritten perhaps through legislation that we can do to facilitate defending against this combination of AI and drone technology, which is advancing very rapidly. And Mr. Chairman, to that extent, I have some unanimous consent request, if possible. So,
Yes.
Yeah, the first one is autonomous ascent, how AI is reshaping the future of the UAV industry. Another piece, mystery drones swarmed a U.S. military base for 17 days. And next one, what we know about the Langley Air Force Base drone incident.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.